Okay guys, welcome back. Pace, awesome here. I don't know how deep we are in the series now, but we've been doing a ton of videos, all creative financing. And on this video specifically, we're gonna talk about a unique strategy, which is a combination of subject to and there's equity. So how do you cover that extra equity? Guys, if you've missed any of the other videos in the series, there's a playlist link below. We're putting all these videos in that playlist. It's like your library on creative financing. Pace is revealing all of his strategies, all of his secrets, and he's just really giving so much value in this series. They're long videos because what Pace does is he not only explains the strategy, how to acquire them, how to exit them, but also gives really good stories on deals he's doing. And those stories allow you to really understand it better and allow you to use those stories as you're talking to sellers or agents or whoever. So it allows you to simplify, because we tend to overcomplicate, allows you to really simplify these strategies so that you can really implement them in your business.
And remember something, guys, is that facts tell, stories sell.
Yes.
And so if you're not telling stories to your agents, your brokers, your sellers, whoever, your private money lenders, you're really missing the mark. And you're gonna ask these questions like, Jerry, I'm not closing enough deals. Pace, I'm not closing enough deals. How do I? It's like you're not telling enough stories. People live through the eyes of other people, right? We're cavemen at the end of the day. We just want to sit around a campfire, have people draw hieroglyphics on the rocks. Tell me a story through picture. And so if you're not doing that, you're failing.
Yeah, in fact, take these strategies and go explain it to someone who's not a real estate person, knows nothing about creative financing. And if they understand it, then you know that you understand it, right? And so Pace has his grocery story, your F-150 story, the bunny story, all these stories that Pace uses to help a seller who doesn't understand these concepts to really grasp the idea. And people don't do things they don't understand. So if the seller does not understand what you're doing, they're not gonna do it.
A confused mind says no.
No, definitely, yeah. So in this video, we're gonna really dive into this unique strategy, which is a hybrid between a seller carry and a Subto. So Pace, first, when is this a situation and why is this so important? Because this is a common strategy. It's a common where you're gonna have a seller who's got this extra equity on top of existing debt.
Happens all the time, single family, multifamily, commercial, all the way across the board, hotels, whatever. I think Jerry's got a good hotel story.
Yeah, it's exactly this situation.
Okay, love it. So I've probably bought a good 15% of my creative finance deals utilizing hybrid. Now, hybrid means they have a debt, let's say with Wells Fargo, but they also have a lot of equity. So let's say I'm buying the house for $200,000. They owe $100,000 to Wells Fargo at 3% interest. I'm like, I don't want to go get a new loan to pay off that 3% loan. I want that loan. The value is in that loan, right? But the problem is they have $100,000 in equity. So what I do, and I have a great story. It's Willow Way in Decatur, Georgia. I have a deal where I have 4 liens on the property. So I have a first position, I have a second position loan mod, and then the seller has 2 notes on the property.
Like private notes or whatever? Or?
Yeah, so he has a personal friend.
Okay. And they recorded these and they're
there. No, this is what it is. He has a first position Wells Fargo loan. He has a personal friend that gave him a loan a long time ago. And then the seller and he had all this equity. I created two separate notes. Yeah. Here's why I did it.
And let me stop you for a second, guys. And I think it was video 2 we talked about, so go back to the series if you don't understand lien position, lien priority, notes, mortgage or deed of trust. We go through those instruments and we really explain them. So if you're confused by what Pace is saying, be sure to watch that video, then come back and listen to this stories. Go ahead, Pace.
Right, so here's what I did. So the guy's name is John. I buy his house subject to. He has a personal loan that he owes his friend. I take that loan subject to. Then the seller's like, well, I have about $150,000 in equity. I then create a seller finance note at $150,000, but I also create a 4th note with the seller because I go, well, I need to clean up the property and I need to renovate and get it furnished. Would you loan the money to me?
Because he had the cash, or?
He had the cash. Yeah. He just didn't want to deal with the property anymore. Yeah. So he gave me $30,000 in a 4th position note. It paid for the closing costs. I paid myself $10,000 up front and I got it up and going. It's 1931, well, you'll have to cut it out, 1931 Willow Way. I make
and when you added all of those liens in, it had a total of whatever, 200 or whatever it was.
The total was $200,000.
Okay. So which you were happy to be in. You were happy to have all of that debt in the
I love
position.
it because I didn't have to come out of pocket. The property nets me like $1,100 a month on Airbnb, net. And so I'm happy about it.
Because again, this is something Pace has said in all the videos, I think. The value, when you understand creative, the value is not in the price, it's in the use of that asset or that property.
Right, and
so
how I
you're
structured
saying,
it.
I'm fine to have all these liens on here. I'm fine to be not a lot of equity maybe because I'm Airbnb this property and it's making me all this cash flow.
Right. In fact, that property that you saw on my YouTube channel about me nitpicking my Airbnb apart.
Yeah.
That's the house.
Oh, it's that one.
Yeah, it's like my guys have duct taped the shower curtain. Anyway, so here's when you acquire, right? You're taking over somebody else's debt and they have all this equity. Don't buy it on a wrap, okay? So here's what a wrap is. Here's the existing debt, right? $100,000 owed to Wells Fargo at 3%. If a seller wraps that and sells it to you, here's what a wrap is. They literally go, I'm gonna wrap my 100 grand around that, and I'm gonna charge not only I'm not gonna charge the 3%, I'm gonna sell this property for $200,000 at 6%. So what they're doing is they're selling their underlying debt to you and they're arbitraging. So they're upgrading their 3% to 6%. And then they're taking their 100 grand and they're charging you 6% too. That's a wrap. So I want to separate those two notes so I can take that Subto loan clean. I want it clean.
You want the 3%, not 6% on the 100.
Right. And if they want 6% interest, I only give it to them on the 100. So this is why I call it hybrid. Subto, seller finance, I'm acquiring both notes.
Now wraps would be great when you're the seller
Right.
and you're trying to leverage that asset of a 3% loan. But it doesn't make sense if you're the buyer and you're structuring the creative finance deal.
Right. You don't want to buy wraps. You only want to sell wraps.
Right. There you go.
Okay. So in a situation where a seller has a lot of equity, typically here's what I'll do. Seller will go, I want to sell for $200,000. I go, great. If I buy for $200,000, would you give me the terms I need? And they go, well, what terms do you need? I go, I need to get the asset stabilized. So I'll take over your $100,000 Subto loan at 3%, and I'll create a $100,000 note or promissory note in second position. I want to make no payments on that for 24 months while I get this thing stabilized. But I'll pay you full price. I'll pay you exactly what you want. And they'll very frequently go, well, I want a down payment. I go, okay, great. And I'll get a down payment. Where do I get my down payment? I'm established, so a lot of times I'll use my own cash. But when you're brand new, you use a private money lender, and the private money lender pays that down payment. Now you have 3 notes. This gets a little hairy for people, right? Like, you're like, oh wait, I have 3 loans now. Yep, I have the Wells Fargo. Let's say it's a $1,000 payment. I have the seller finance at 90 grand because he gave it to me at 100. I gave him 10 grand down. He seller financed me at 90,000, no payments. Then I have a third loan, right? Number 3, boom, boom, boom. The third one is a private money lender that gave me the down payment, the closing costs, and whatever. So I'm into the deal, no money.
Love it.
Yeah.
So let me explain my deal because it's very similar actually. So
this is a hotel, right?
Yeah, so it's a 22-unit boutique hotel, San Juan.
You guys got to ask yourself this question, like, why is Jerry not bringing me in on this deal? Like, that's the main question you should be asking.
Well, it's Puerto Rico, so how do you feel about Puerto Rico?
I don't want to be in Puerto Rico.
So it's Puerto Rico, it's a hotel, and I'm buying this so the sellers bought this and they started a rehab, but now they've got other things going on. They just want out now. They don't want to finish it. It's vacant. Needs another $250,000 to finish it and get it going. But it's in an amazing location, super high demand. I like this asset. So I've come in, and so they've said to me, look, Jerry, we want $2.5 million for this property. We have an existing loan of 1.25.
Yeah.
Okay. So in essence, I said, okay, I'll take over that loan.
Yep.
I want a 3-year structure because I need 2 years to get it seasoned and stabilized, and I can do a refinance with SBA. I talked to SBA. They said, give me 2 years of financials. We'll do an SBA at 5%.
SBA is Small Business Association.
Administration, yep. Yep. And they'll do a 5% loan because SBA loans are amazing.
So you'll buy for 2.5. They have an existing first position at 1.2.
Yep.
What are they going to do with their equity? How are you structuring the equity?
So the equity is exactly what you just said. It's a seller note, and it's 0% for the first 2 years.
Which is all you probably need.
Yep. So it's no payments, no principal, no payments, 0% for 2 years. If I roll into the third year I start paying 8% interest only. If I go the third year.
I'd do that deal all day long.
Because I told him, I said, look, my intent is to refinance out in 2 years.
You wouldn't need, the great thing about that is you don't even need 2 years. It's 22 units. You could probably crank through that in 6 to 8 months. you would still probably keep going all the way through to the end of the second year, because you've got a great debt in the 1.2 and you have an amazing debt in that remaining 1 point whatever with no payments, no interest. Yeah. And you would wait all the way till the 2-year balloon and refinance the whole thing. And
what was interesting, Pace, is what was really interesting about this deal is the sellers are investors, right? Because it's a hotel. And so they were asking, kind of like some of the stories you've told in these other videos, they wanted their cake and eat it too. So what they said is, look, we'll carry it for you, but we want all this interest, we want you to put money down, we want all these things, and we want a high price.
What'd you say?
So I said to them, look, at 2.5, I'm not doing all these other things. You gotta give me better terms, right?
And it's like a teeter-totter. You can't have both sides on the...
So what I did is I said, listen, if you, what you're really talking about by asking for more is, why don't I just come in and I cash you out with new debt? But if I cash you out, and you don't have, 1.8. That's right. That's exactly what I was at.
Really?
I said 1.7, 1.8, and I'll cash you out. I'll bring in new debt.
Right.
And they're like, well, we don't want to, we're willing to wait to get more upside. Okay, then make it more favorable for me. Give me more space for me to do my thing. I'm willing to pay more, but give me much better. And they're like, what do you want? And I told them 0. I originally wanted zero down, 0 payments on all 3 years. But they said, look, if you're telling me that you can get an SBA in 2, then we want you to be highly motivated to exit in 2. So let's add an interest payment on year 3, which is actually very smart, because I'm extremely motivated by that.
Even worst case scenario, even if you did have, let's say, a challenging time refinancing for whatever reason, you go 1 year of an interest only loan on that debt, it's not that big of a deal. You can still operate, still cash flow at that.
Yeah, it'll be cash flowing mad on this unit because there are 22 units, super high demand over there. There's a hotel, there's a restaurant in the bottom unit of the hotel, the ground level, that has been there 10 years. So they're paying a lease payment.
What are you going to call it? Are you going to rename it to Iguanas or something?
It's called Abracadabra is the restaurant. The hotel's called Looking Glass.
Guys, should we rename the restaurant? Is that what we should do? Or is it a lease that they're leasing? You can't change it.
They're there. They've been there 10 years. But we've named the hotel Looking Glass because in the main lobby, it goes all the way up to the ceiling, and we're putting a glass pool on the top floor with a railing, and there'll be a bar up there. Sick. It's really fun. Yeah, it's really fun. It's like, we call it Instagram worthy. So people will want to go here because it's super unique. And
gosh, I love it.
Yeah.
What I love is so now what you're going to do, so you've got the first position, sub 2, second position, seller carry, 0 payments, 0% interest for 2 years. You still need to come in with money to do the renovation.
So I'm using a private money investor on my 250 rehab.
Right, so guys, remember the video we talked about notes and lien position and all that kind of stuff? He's got a first position, sub 2. He's got a second position, seller finance. He's got a third position. We get so many private money lenders that totally understand this. They'll go in third position, fourth position a lot of times. There's no issue here. This is going to be a great asset for you guys.
Be a great cash flow.
Where did you find this deal?
So a wholesaler brought it.
Thank you to the wholesalers out there. You guys are amazing. Bring us all the deals.
And I'm not in a place in my business here where I want to be an operator. So the wholesaler who brought me the deal, you actually know him really well. He's got the time, energy, and effort. Amazing guy on the ground, willing to. So I brought him in brought him in equity. Now he's not bringing any financing, just operation.
He's going to be the operator.
He's going to be the operator, and I'm cutting him on a piece of equity. He's thrilled because he went from wholesaler to now owner, because I'm not paying him a wholesale fee. I said, would you rather have a wholesale fee or equity? And he's like, dude, I'll take equity. I'll hustle. He's hungry, he's young, he's motivated.
The branding he could do with you, like being partners with Jerry Norton, that's such a big deal for them. I think I remembered that he brought this. Is it on a corner? It's kind of a cute, like
purple.
Yep.
You've seen it.
I've seen it. And I was like, he brought it. He's like, you want to do this deal with me and Jerry? I go, I don't want to do deals where iguanas are more prevalent than human beings.
That's Puerto Rico.
That's Puerto Rico. But here's the thing I love about this. You're playing Monopoly, right? Like somebody else already has money in place, and you're just moving money the way you want and structuring it the way you want to go and own a freaking hotel with a restaurant in it. You're renaming
It gets better,
the hotel.
actually. It gets better because in hospitality in Puerto Rico, there's a tax incentive because the island needs more hotel because of the demand for tourism. So they give a 40% tax credit.
What the freak?
Puerto Rico gives a 40% tax credit And 40% meaning your total purchase and renovation, your total acquisition for the asset over, now they spread it out over years. Now I don't need the tax credit, so you can sell the tax credits. They're transferable and people buy them for 90 cents on the dollar.
What the freak?
So there's another couple $100,000 that I'm getting just by the tax credit that they're offering.
What's interesting is like, that's even a note, right? Essentially, there's
Yeah.
you and the state or you and the government have a promissory note that you get some sort of note is created, some sort of document is created that you can assign to somebody else. Guys, it's just playing with paper.
And Puerto Rico's really motivated to do these because they want more hospitality. So it's not like a grant where it's like paperwork and you'll never get it.
How long
you
until
meet
you're
the guy, they're motivated, they're excited to help you do it. They show you what you need to do.
How long until you're the king of Puerto Rico? Like how long until you're the king of lizards?
I'm just playing around, right? But there's a lot of opportunity.
The thing last thing on this one video is I look at this, and this is why I love doing videos with you, is because you're doing it and you're actively out there creating these opportunities. Is there any end to these types of opportunities?
No end. There's no end to these types of opportunities.
Bonkers.
Yeah, and in a place like Puerto Rico where there's right now credit is a big issue in Puerto Rico because there's only 2 banks, they're not really lending, there's not really a good hard money solution. There's some, but there's just not a lot of capital yet, but there's all this opportunity, especially like with Airbnb. Luxury is huge. So I'm doing some luxury new construction because guys like me are moving there and there's not a lot of houses for them. So there's all this opportunity, and what it means, because credit is so hard to get there, that creative financing is like really prevalent. It's like the main way of transacting in Puerto Rico is seller financing. Like when you talk to sellers, unlike in the mainland, this whole explaining process, it's really simple. They buy and sell with creative financing all the time.
But I thought it was illegal.
Yeah, no, it's not illegal. Yeah, actually very normal.
Very normal.
So awesome. So hybrid's one of our strategies, super cool technique. It allows you to then do multiple ways of putting deals together.
You acquire on hybrid, you never acquire on wrap. You
Smart.
dispo on wrap, you never dispo on hybrid.
Perfect. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay, awesome guys. So that's that one. In the next video, which one are we gonna cover? One of the other ones, maybe
Lease option.
We haven't done lease option yet, so maybe the next video we'll do lease option. But guys, again, we're doing a series like this where Pace is breaking down these different strategies for creative financing. Think of creative financing as this big umbrella, and then inside that umbrella, you've got unique strategies that fit certain situations.
Yeah.
And your job as a what do we call it? A transaction engineer?
Transactioneer.
A transactioneer is to take each person's situation and the property and find what is the best way of structuring this deal that makes sense for everybody. It makes sense for you, makes sense for the seller. And when you have this arsenal or this like toolbox of strategies, you're unstoppable.
Yeah, I would tell you the 2 main things that you've got to acquire in your journey is you've got to acquire the understanding of the tools and the ability to explain those tools. And there's not a single seller you can't help.
And then throw in some take massive action in there
Oh, well, wait, I assume they're watching Flipping Mastery. That's all they're doing is taking action.
But that's the key.
Take action right now. Hit the subscribe button. Make a comment down below. Tell Jerry how much he's a flipping freaking genius right now. And we'll see you guys in the next video.
All right, let's do it.